Good evening, everyone. This is episode 27. Yes, that's 27. This is not a drill of the Contextual podcast. I am your host, as always, Chris Hulkamania78. And tonight, once again, my good friend, Mr. Andrew Pixel Hunter, is with us again, my friend.
Lovely. Thanks for having us on at such short notice as well. It's always a pleasure to be here.
No, it's good, mate. It's good. It's I was going to fly solo, but the chance to have you on as always, and you know, it's great. And there's a couple of things that we're going to talk about anyway, which are close to both our hearts, as always. So yeah. So what have you been up to?
Honestly,
sure?
Yeah, no, mate. Well, I've just been trying to get around to actually fitting in some time to play some games as well, so that we can have something to talk about this time. I've taken the plunge after watching some almost terrifying video reviews of Monster Hunter World and thinking, good God, it looks so vast, but you really need to invest some time in it. So I'm hoping to pick that up later on, maybe a little stream as well. So if people want to actually help me out so I actually know what I'm doing while I'm playing it. And then trying to catch up on TV and films, as always, mate, as always.
I know, and then it doesn't help when you're trying to play gaming. Some tosser starts coaxing you in to come on his podcast.
Could you think of anything worse? Unbelievable.
Well, and the quiff is back for you again.
That's the thing. What I've started to do is take little freeze frames of every time you start up, and like it's identical. That's the thing. It is uncanny. Like the quiff is more or less exactly the same in all 27 episodes.
Most of the clothes are the Chewbacca pajamas as well.
This is why you can't see me as well. I've just been wearing the same dressing gown for 6 weeks.
Well, before we come on air, me and Andrew were talking, and I've actually got, this is God's honest truth, I'm going to show you this. I've actually got my full on, and I had it on and I've took it off. Maybe I should have kept it on, but it's my favourite article of clothing, my Italian Stallion Rocky dressing gown. Incredible. If I'm not going anywhere, I'm not training anyone or I'm doing anything, that's on at about midday.
Christ. So mine was about £8 from Debenhams, and I'm sure it's got some of my son's dried cereal in the arm of it as well. So I
won't tell you what's on mine, mate. But yeah. Let's not go down that route. No. Sorry, you'd be disconnecting. Apologies. No, so what I wanted to talk about is our favourite subject. After 27 episodes, you think we wouldn't have fuck all on toast to talk about
PUBG?
No, actually, this week I am not going to cream myself. That's obviously where the stains come from. And we're going to talk about Pro Evo 2018. Now, me and Andrew have had a chat about this, and something's happened this week where I didn't think in January, and I did think, a couple of people who follow us shout out as well. There's a few people actually want to shout out as well. I've got Ed Sutton, who supported us both. It's a really good guy. He's going to come on actually maybe next week.
Good.
The podcast. I've got Force Reps Paul, who is going to be coming on as well. He's off one of the forums, Win 11 blog.
Right.
Cameron Singh, he's been following us from the start. We've got Bibby, who is really, really looking forward to the United section today because he's a fucking blue nose. And he said he's actually going to be exactly. We're going to have plenty to say about the good almighty Reds later on. Exactly. Say no more. So what's happened is on the Win 11 blog, I sent an article that was posted there this week. Now, this isn't going to be a hatchet job. I was ready to go all in on this after reading it. I sent it to Andrew, and it's to do with a movement, or it's a guy who's been on Win 11 blog forums before. He's not posted anything for 5 years, called Alan, and then he'd come on and just put the most random, aggressive post I've ever seen. And don't get me wrong, people know what we're like. We don't give a shit. It's all bets are off. That's the good thing about having the people who support us and watch this, because there's no fanning around. There's no sort of, back slapping, arse kissing, to get free stuff or anything like that. It is as it is, But he puts his article up, which I'll put a link to it in the bio when we put it up. And to be fair, he's made PES relevant on all the forums. It may not be relevant to people who are not into PES once again. And it's probably one of the best bit of marketing things I've seen for the actual community within the PES community, because everyone's just like, what the fuck is this all about? And what are your thoughts on it, Andrew? Because I was absolutely blown away by it, thinking, what the hell am I reading?
I think, you know, not necessarily critiquing any of the actual style of the piece as well, but I think the thing that we've probably discussed is that I don't really see something like this being relevant, regardless of how good the writing would be, to a game that is, in most people's eyes, redundant. You know, if you were saying something about a particular title where you were on the crest of a wave and riding into what was potentially going to be, I don't know, another gameplay update or something like that was fundamentally going to change the aspects of the game, then you could probably understand the context in which the article has gone out. But if it's based on something that isn't necessarily relevant anymore, I'd be struggling to understand the actual notion of somebody putting this together.
Yeah,
I mean, I can. It's weird because I can understand where some of his arguments, and this is the thing that we've probably touched on before, is that critique isn't necessarily warranted if it's through like offensive gestures or words online or something like that. But it's probably the thing that we've discussed is that if it's kind of turned away on the back of the fact that you know that a game like this is fundamentally flawed, and then they wait for several months until they're able to put their hands up and say that it actually is, we're still the guys at the back of the class screaming with bloody gaffer tapes on our mouths saying we're the ones who told you so.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand its pitch. I think it just feels a little bit confused, and I can't really. The one thing that when I've read it, you know, in its length, is that I can kind of understand it from a certain degree, but it just kind of leaves me a little bit confused.
Yeah.
Sort of an underhanded dig at those people. I mean, it doesn't really matter if it's a casual gamer that picks up the game who just wants to come in drunk after they've had a few pints.
Yeah.
And play a couple of games of PES, regardless of the intricacies that they would be getting out of it. They have the same right as a professional streamer who's getting paid by Konami, who wants to be doing online games and really wants those really finite details in it, and will pick out something from pixel to pixel. Their argument is as valid as that.
Yeah.
But even that kind of seems to be lost in a certain way.
Yeah, I think obviously for people who've not read the article, it's sort of like he's created a moniker now on the forum called PES Casual, and I think obviously it is a dig at what I'm doing and you're doing now, as we have a slight voice within the community. You know, be it a small thing, but we are getting people following us and supporting what we're saying. Whether obviously we articulate it in the right way, you know, sometimes that's one of my downfalls because I can be too honest with my swearing and stuff. But in the same respect, I'd rather be who I am. That's what attracts people to us, because obviously we, you know, we're just telling the truth how we feel. There's no sugarcoating it. If it's fucking bullshit, it's fucking bullshit, and that's exactly.
It doesn't matter how you say it, really.
Yeah, exactly, and that's no disrespect to anybody out there. That's just the way I feel, but I think what he'd done is he'd attacked it on the fact that obviously I'd mentioned it, and I'm not just saying it's me. I'm not fucking. I put this in one of the posts. I'm not an egomaniac thinking that me and our podcast as such, makes him all sound like I'm an egomaniac. But obviously, as I'm one every episode, and have yourself come on and Steve or whatever, we've all sort of relayed the same thing in around, you know, in a roundabout way. And obviously Brian's been on and he said the same thing, and I think he's attacked the fact that we're saying like my clubs is aimed at the casual player, the young kids, because obviously you're competing with Ultimate Team. So when you bring a game mode out, that sort of mirrors it, but it mirrors it in a sort of a cheap,
relatively amateur.
In a cheap way, really. And that's the way I feel, and that's the way most people feel. That obviously at the moment, and I put this in a recent post, is Pro Evo is becoming a jack of all trades, a master of none. It's trying to cater for the offline and online, and somewhere in the middle is actually where the game is, and it's neither one nor the other. But by being not having a real identity, it's in no man's land, and that's why you're getting people just totally abandoning it, like myself, like you. Obviously, you know, being a YouTube streamer for Pro Evo.
Initially that had started off with that, who now, to his ultimate guilt, even though I felt a little bit dirty the other night after a couple of beers, was able to actually play. You know, it's weird, isn't it? It's like almost like having a weird digital affair as well, playing FIFA 18. And even with, I mean, and I can't really say that it's something that I'll go. The one thing that we will probably use it for is me and the guys. You know, that's the one thing we probably miss. You know, we've maybe picked up a few other sort of couch court games like WWE and stuff like that, but they're not really great levelers. The one thing about a football game that is at least playable is that they are good levelers. It'd just be us four playing against the computer in a career mode or something like that. So even when I picked it up the other night, it's still got more substance, especially in its presentation. Good God, the one thing I didn't realise, especially with not playing FIFA for a good few years, is that, I mean, Pez has got such a long way to catch up with the presentation, even through like little snippets of commentary that it has about the people that that are in your team, what they've been doing that season and everything like that, even to sort of managers on the touchline. I'm not saying they're going to be the fundamental game changers, because ultimately if Pez plays better, it's always going to be the winner for me, but it still feels like it's so far behind.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting because I sound at the moment like a FIFA fanboy, which obviously I'm not.
Not really. I don't think so.
I'm going where I'm finding the best experience, and I am doing with pro clubs.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing is, sorry, Andrew, I can hear echoing. It was echoing back. I don't know if that was me or you. I can hear it double echoing then. Sorry. It's probably me. So you do it live, everyone. I apologise.
If you start smelling almonds, mate, it's probably best to shut down the stream as well.
Yeah, straight away. Well, it could be like the fucking podcast I did on Tuesday, where I got booed out my own podcast, and then my family carried on. Brother and that decided to promote his decorating business. Hangouts,
wasn't it? I think if you mention PUBG more than 3 times, it kicks you off your own stream.
It's like the Candy Man. So when you see the sort of aesthetics and small little details that made PES what it was, and it's now moved over to FIFA.
Yeah,
it's hard to go back and not just PES bashing all the time. It's you've got to. I've said this before. You go where the competition is, and it's relevant to the argument or to the conversation. But then you get a post like this where it's regarding elitism, everything. Oh, and by the way, we have breaking news. Mr. Brian has just joined us, Andrew. Anyone out there live? B-Man has joined us live. So can you hear us, B-Man?
Oh, fuck. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, it says your microphone is not working or is hard.
No, we can mute
it.
I'll put it this way. The first word you said was fuck, and everyone heard that, so don't worry.
What's up, boys? Hold on.
Very good. Very good.
What are we talking about here?
Need some PES discussion as well, as he's branded PES headphones.
Wait, we're talking about PES?
Yeah.
I gotta crack open a beer for this shit.
Yeah, I've already got a glass of wine as well. So.
To PES. It's fucked.
I'm on the water, so yeah, to PES. No, Brian, we were just talking about the article on WEMB, and I wasn't going all in or slating Alan. We were just finding it quite bizarre article.
Actually, man.
I actually was, because I was dying to go at him, but I thought, no, I'm not going to. And I've put a post on there. You've got the right to reply to this. But what do you think, Brian?
Hold on, spilled beer on my computer.
Oh God.
At first I was, I would love to talk to Alan. I would love to get him on a podcast. I was on my way back home and I was listening on. I saw your Rocky outfit.
Oh yeah,
As I was driving on my phone on YouTube. That's dirty. That's right.
Yeah,
Eagle. Fly Eagle.
He just needs to wash it now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to Alan. I don't really. At first, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what are you trying to do? And then he DM'd me and was like, hey, I meant no offense, trying a different approach, blah, blah, blah. I get what he's trying to do and spice up the community and create discussion. But I feel like you can't artificially, in my opinion, create long-lasting discussion. For example, obviously what he's doing right now, it's creating like a short-term discussion because people are intrigued about what's this guy doing? Like, what's he saying? Is he coming off as satire? Is he being serious?
Maybe.
You know what I mean? So I think people are kind of confused, but it's also, in a way, I understand he wants to get back after a couple years and do his thing. But like I said, on the other hand, there's so many people that, the forums have been practically dead because the game isn't up to snuff for a lot of, forum members.
Yeah.
And so on both WEMB and EvoWeb, it's usually like the same 5 to 10 people are the same people posting all the time, whether positive or negative. And so I feel like you can't artificially spice up a conversation. Oh, nice. You got wine.
Yeah, the wife's just got the Prosecco, so I apologize. The water, yeah, that's gone now.
I feel like it's summer on the beach, baby, drinking my Corona. You know what I'm saying? But
the beers are available.
What I meant was like the artificial kind of conversation. It's not long lasting. It's only going to last if the game is good and there's something good to talk about with regards to the game.
What I said. It just feels like you're shouting those words into a forest, and it's just going to dissipate over time, and not really.
Right. But I love to talk to him because I know he has a differing opinion of where Pez is, and Konami put out those numbers. It's funny. I keep trying to get out of the discussion. I made a post on EvoWeb, and I was like, listen, if anyone ever wants to talk about Pez, hit me up. But I'm trying to stay away from this stuff, and because it just feels it always ends up being toxic. He said, she said. I got Adam unfollowed me on Twitter, which is very hurtful because, as I said in my one post, we shared Popeye's chicken in LA, and you don't unfollow someone on Twitter when you've shared Popeye's chicken in LA. Like that's like bro code, bro. You just don't do that. And so no, I'm just kidding. It is what it is. I don't care. But it's one of those things where I feel like I'm trying to get away from it, but then I kind of get dragged back into it.
And it's because you care about it, though, isn't it? It's because you want maybe something that it isn't really, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I do. I care too much. Fuck.
I think as well, Brian. We it's very true what you're saying, and the caring side of it at times makes. I know I probably come across as a hater on the game, but it is because you care. Now, Alan has said that he will come on the podcast. Because he said it in one of the posts on the forum, so I will contact him about getting him on, so all four of us can talk them. Yeah. And that's not. It won't be. I genuinely will not be a bashing of him. I just want to sort of. We're all grown adults. I want him to sort of tell me his ideas and his reasoning behind it, and then obviously I'd be the first one to say, right, cool, I get what you
like. I'm not a confrontational person. I'm not trying to stoke animosity or anything. Like I'd be totally cool talking to him. I'd get his side of things, and it creates a better discussion too, especially when you're actually like adults about it and not hiding behind keyboards and you know what I'm saying. So you can have a really good conversation about the differences. And the thing that kind of pulled me in this time was the talk of kind of extremes. Oh, B-Man, you're going to, like on our podcast or some of the posts that I recently made, you're going to extremes. And for me, especially when, they Konami comes out with their sales figures and all that kind of stuff. For me, it's I feel like the time of diplomacy, for me personally, just my opinion, of being diplomatic, where, hey, we need to work together as a community, put in the positives and the negatives, give positive and negative feedback and come together. And the time, like, I've been doing that shit for 10 fucking years, 4 years on a podcast. That shit, it just builds up over time, where it's like history keeps repeating itself. Like that time of diplomatic discussion for me, and why I'm trying to get out of this, even though I'm getting my passion is pulling me back in, is that like nothing's going to change. Like that's the passion and anger in me is more or less, I just don't see anything being as diplomatic as you want to be. I just don't see anything changing because it's the same thing year after year. Like I said, you could take a feedback document from 5 or 6 years ago, and aside from maybe like animations or something, it's gonna be like it could be talking about PES 2018, literally that feedback document from years ago. And it's just like, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? It's like, for who, for what? Why the fuck am I keep doing this shit? You know what I'm saying?
But surely,
I just don't get it.
Surely because we're in that kind of realm of very sensitive social media, or the fact that stories and conversations can be shared so readily across, surely this version of PES is going to be the one that's most hurtful to Konami, because the general consensus throughout social media, even for those who actually promote it, is in a sense quite negative. You know, there's not much positivity coming from the game at all.
But yet they have the sales figures to harp back on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's such an oxymoron, that though, isn't it? It just doesn't necessarily mean anything. And like the 80 odd review on Metacritic as well, it just doesn't mean that. You can't keep doing that when you know that the hardcore fans are the ones online sort of airing their frustrations with the game.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think, we've said this many a time, but I think as well is that what I've no problem with is computer games are good, bad. Sequels can be good, bad. But when you have a sort of a series of games that are nearly 20 years old, and you think in the 20-year cycle that it would progressively get better, which obviously for the first 6 or 7, 8 years, it was one of the best games ever, really, you know, sports games anyway. Yeah. And I find I agree with you with the review scores, but I also struggle when it's picking up awards at stuff like E3, you know, Gamescom, whatever, because it doesn't mean anything. Because we played the demo with family and we absolutely loved the game. Everyone was like, "This is it, it's back." You get the real game, and it's never the same. So we can all have smoke and mirrors, and I understand you've got to promote and market something, but once you've done that, there's got to be something behind it. And then the thing is, the sales figures might be great, but those people might have bought the game on a Sunday, and on a fucking Monday, they took it back and traded it in for FIFA. Or, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean it's not. It's good for them, but for the actual fan and the population online, it's fucking rubbish, because there isn't a population online that there used to be.
No, there isn't. Yeah.
So I didn't get to really hear Hunter's thoughts about PES 2018 and the overall, you know, kind of state of PES. I haven't really heard his opinion, so I would love to hear it.
I think the one thing that we discussed with Chris is that the one thing that I'd relied on when I was doing the streams when I started, probably in April, so that was the back end of PES 2017, because we were investing so much time in the Masters League with most of my friends, that we thought we really need to transfer this to streaming to basically show the enjoyment that we're getting as a collective group of people, because that was the one thing. You would see a majority of people doing one-player streams and good discussions or technical debates on how good the game is. But the one thing that I always thought was lacking was that kind of group element that would be really good to show the enjoyment of a game like that as well. So that was the idea from April leading up to, and obviously reposting all of the press for PES 2018 leading up into the game. Honestly, within the very first day that it came out, and we had all my friends that came round and all ready to play it, been to the pub for a couple of pints, came back, and it was kind of almost taken aback from, like Chris had said, the online beta that we all played, where we're like, this is probably going to be one of the greatest football games of all time. And so far from it. And then you obviously get everything that came from that, the collective frustration, the feedback that was given, all of the sort of catcalling and almost arguments of semantics to avoid the real issues of what was wrong with the game, to getting the gameplay update, to probably playing it a handful of times after that and just feeling like I was completely wasting my time. I mean, the one thing that's actually come out of it, as you can see, is that I've changed my approach to what I actually want to review on social media other than PES. But the one thing that I'm really still missing, which is why I've obviously picked up FIFA 2018, is that couch co-op element of a football game that we probably all miss. That is just, it's just not there. The AI is far from being anything convincing whatsoever as well. The career mode Masters League it shouldn't even be there. you know, it's been the same for about 3 years as well. And they try and say that they've changed it. Even any of the small superficial things that they were actually going to add into the Masters League, like post-match interviews and stuff like that, that wouldn't necessarily change the actual overall feel or influence of the game. Even they're not there as well. I mean, if you were going to say, we're just going to concentrate everything on my club or online or anything like that, that 3 versus 3 element that was in the online beta, I was like, do you know what? There'll probably be parts of me that'll think I'll play that element as well. And then that was a car crash.
And I loved the 3v3. The 3v3 at E3 was awesome, by the way. Yeah. It really was. It was great.
Even from sort of losing elements of that, trying to get things out of fucking hell, even the PS4 trophies have been the same for 3 years. So even those little things where I'd be thinking, I'll play the Masters League, and then there's little trophies that you can go in and win the treble in Europe or something like that as well. That's been the same since PES 16.
Right.
You know, there's so many small things that you can innovate within a game like that they then put all of these blockers in front of that says your argument is completely futile because you're being aggressive. No, it's not that. It's just you trying to use misdirection to get away from what a poor attempt at a football game it is.
Amen.
Interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's only based. It's based mainly out of frustration because I realised how many hours. I mean, what we used to do is like as a group of friends is we would play. I would play all the I would do all the donkey work in the Masters League, and I would sign all the best players, and then we would always join up at my friend's house where it was like the business end of the season, so that you could go for winning the Champions League or anything like that. Incredible nights, you know, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, but it's distinctly lacking from that of 12 months ago, which is saying something really.
Let me ask you a question, because I said on the last Contextual podcast, I talked about the things that drew me to PES. So what was your thing? Like, everybody kind of has a shtick with PES, like the things that meant the most to them, like through their kind of love affair over the years with PES. And, you know, I kind of made a point. For me, it was never about, you know, different boots, balls, edit mode, player models, faces. No. It was never about any of that stuff. It was about, you know, AI, individuality, the tactical system. Yeah. Like, those were the things that drew me into PES. And I just, the thing for me was that those things, and I went into detail previous podcast, those things now I feel are very similar, almost equal level to now FIFA. And without even playing FIFA's AI, like, for example, this is what I mean. You know, the individuality of the game, the players, the small players, you know, being, you know, quicker, agile, smaller turning radius. You had the bigger players who are more lumber. You know, obviously you have your Bales and Ronaldos who are bigger but also fast. Like, I just feel like the individuality, because there's no individuality in passing in either game.
No.
So it feels like the individuality from that perspective is very similar. Yeah. I haven't played FIFA's AI, but PES 2018's AI is the worst AI in any PES game I have personally ever played. So everybody tells me FIFA's AI is shit. So that means to me
Sorry,
no. I'm just saying that they're both equal then. So and then you look at the tactical system. While there's pros and cons in PES, it's the same in FIFA. So while they're different, they each have pros and cons. So they literally break even for me personally. Yeah. And so when you have 3 things that drew me to PES that are on similar footing as the competitor, but the competitor offers a more complete package, a more stable online, the most important part of a footy game, which is shooting, and the gratification of scoring, it's leaps and bounds ahead of PES. Like, for me, it's just like, it sucks as a longtime PES fan. It's just, there's nothing that draws me to PES anymore. Like, and that sucks, because you know, at E3, it felt like, oh, this was going to be it. Without playing the AI, at least in multiplayer, it felt like this is going to be it. And then the game just like reverted back to PES 2017. And with the point that you made about, and also what Chris made about online, or about, you know, a lot of people on social media, more so than I can ever remember, really struggling to like PES 2018. There's guys on social media who who liked PES 2017, who defended the game. And these guys are even posting negative about PES 2018. And when I see those diehard, guys that just love the game no matter what, who loved PES 27, even though for me personally, PES 2017 wasn't for my liking, but I respect the guys that really liked it and so forth. But even those guys are unhappy with PES 2018. And when I see some of those guys who are like those diehards that play no matter what Konami offers them, and they're complaining about PES 2018, that kind of, I know it's a small sample size, but that kind of says something to me. You know what I mean?
I think you're right about it's exactly that, where between FIFA and exactly the same for me and the guys want to play a collective couch co-op football game. And the one thing, because you're asking there, what were one of the main things that we actually get out of it? One of the elements, especially cooperatively, is to be able to break down really tough AI computer opposition. Like we're in the latter stages of the Champions League and we're playing against the Juventus back four, which is tighter than a rat's backside, and to be able to sort of break them down and collectively score goals where each of us are involved in the move, or one of us makes a great tackle, and then we're able to play out from that against the really convincing AI as well, being able to utilize different players at different periods of the game, because there is that individuality within the players as well, being able to bring like a big target man on for the last 10 minutes, a la Andy Carroll or Olivier Giroud, and be able to change the game like that as well. I mean, funnily enough, one of my most successful videos at the start of PES 2018 was a tactics video. Well, it's null and void now as well, because most of it wouldn't really make a difference against the computer AI. It doesn't have that kind of effect like it would have had before as well. So, I mean, all of those elements would be incredible, but I really don't think like I'm asking for that much to get it back. It's just nice little intricate elements, whether it's the things that you can provide from your own team collectively. We used to play with like 4 players on the same side, and then the different challenges that each team would come up against. But for me, we had probably a handful of games, and we were either playing Arsenal or we were playing Stoke. I couldn't have told you the fucking difference between the two teams. You could have had Ryan Shawcross and then Lauren Koscielny. For me, they were the same 2 players, because there was no difference in the way that they played or the things that they were able to do as well. What's the point in playing like that if each team is just going to be exactly the same? There's no motivation to be able to play a game like that at all.
No, I think I struggle with the player individuality of PES. Is they'll get maybe 100 players who look absolutely on the money, absolutely player models, everything. And FIFA to an extent does the same. Obviously, they've got a wider spectrum of players that they can actually take off or take on. And they can do that. But when it comes to PES, they laud how good a Ronaldo or in his day like a John Terry or Henry, or how good they look, the individuality. David Beckham was great. PES 4, David Beckham's free kicks, everything was fantastic. And the individuality was there. But as it's got older, that sort of thing now that they're lauding about the individuality is also a frailty on PES's side, because they just haven't got the resources to make every single player his individual animation, or his individual player. So he struggled with using, like you were saying, Andrew, every sort of defender is just a big lump at the back who's just hoofing it and stuff. The stats don't mean anything unless you've got the top players. They're not really relevant, Well,
that's what I would want. I would want, like, if I was playing against Shawcross as an attacker, I would think he's going to want to put me into the stands, so his aggression would be really high. But then if I was playing against like Barzagli or somebody like that, it'd be a little interception and a beautiful, graceful pass out from the back like a gazelle. But there's not that difference between them at all. But that's, if they hadn't have promoted that and that's the way that the game was going to be, I'd be happy with it. But it isn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. And I think the PES, it's proper bashing this, but PES will laud that they've got, fucking this player and that player, and they've got, this fucking set of boots and a Puma football or whatever, and it's like, it's not relevant. Like when they build up to the game, they'll start releasing the odd little video. Adam does it, tidbits of videos and skills. but the skills are not real. It's like what I mean. Don't get me wrong, FIFA's the same. You watch these clowns online, top 10 FIFA goals, and it's all these dickheads who are just doing fucking Rabonas, fucking roulette, you know, rainbow flicks.
Both games.
Both of them. Both of them. And it's absolutely, I just think, when you're trying to promote a new game, especially PES that needs to go back to basics, why the fuck would you show the same skill and PES hasn't got the animations of FIFA, so it just looks fucking proper blocky, and the guys just look too stiff and everything, the leg movements, the body, it just doesn't look natural. But yet they'll promote that as a thing, and I'm like, for fuck's sake. And then when the goal goes in, you can see when they're doing these 6-minute videos, which was originally a PES Konami trademark, a 6-minute trailer for the new PES. The keepers just do this. They do this all the time. It's like, if that's where the reward of shooting isn't there with PES anymore, because you'll shoot from 30 yards, but you're not seeing the keeper go like this and dive at full stretch. You're seeing these fucking shitty saves where they're going like this, or they dive forward and the ball goes past them. And this is where I just have there's no reward to playing that game, shooting or anything anymore. And these are the sort of things when they're promoting it. I just think, just get back to fucking basics and show a video of the game running instead of these stupid. I know it's a PR thing and it's marketing 101, but PES doesn't need that anymore. It's gone that far. People know that it's all bullshit.
Well, you're close to sort of a No Man's Sky proportion of horseshit that you're being fed, really, aren't you?
Yeah, of course you are. It's smoke and mirrors.
Like an in-joke, really.
Yeah, and that's no disrespect, because you have to promote it. That's why you have a PR company and a marketing team. I understand that. But promote the things that it's strong at, because once you get that game, that does not fucking play how them videos show you. And I know that's like a car, you know, they'll show a fucking car driving around a hill at fucking 60 miles an hour going around a bend. It doesn't drive like that in real life. You know what I mean? It's all PR and marketing, but the competition is that far ahead when it comes to animations and aesthetics and little things that make a big difference, unfortunately. Now, they were things that never made a difference because Pro Evo always had the better gameplay. But as time has gone on, FIFA's caught them up, whether they like it or not. And there's faults with FIFA's gameplay. There's no
absolutely
about that. I'm not going to say that. And Brian and yourself have started playing FIFA, and
I don't think it's a great game.
It's really not. Isn't that a sad indictment? It's really not a good game. But I actually scored a couple of goals last night on it with Mata, and I was like, that actually felt quite good. It's not like, wow, it's a revelation.
No, but scoring does feel good, especially if you play seasons. Like, that's the only thing I'm playing in FIFA is seasons. Yeah. Now, of course, the higher you get in divisions, the more cheesy it gets. People hanging back in like a shell, and then all I play is Real Madrid and Barcelona. And they just quick counterattack with like 3 dudes hanging up top. They're so good at defending. I play possession, so I'm trying to push guys forward, break them down. Boom, they hit me on a quick counterattack. Not even trying to play footy at all. They're just trying to score as fast as possible, and it just becomes cheesy. So I don't think, like I said, I don't think FIFA is a great game at all. And I haven't played the AI, so I couldn't tell you. But overall, I just don't think FIFA is a great game. But it goes back to that point that the things that drew me into PES have been watered down, so to speak, or are flawed, and basically now are on the same level as FIFA to me. And yet FIFA just offers so much more. And so why, if I wanted to get my footy fix in, why wouldn't I play the other game that is offering more? You know what I'm saying? And that, as a longtime PES fan, that's just kind of where I'm at. And I have no loyalty whatsoever to Konami. Like, there's, I feel like fans feel like, they got to be loyal to this company, and I don't understand why. Like, I'm loyal to my friends who work there, and I'm able to separate. And like Robbie and a Sim, and I thought Adam, but he unfollowed me. Maybe he just doesn't want to hear my shit. But I thought we had Popeye's chicken together. I thought we were cool. I thought we were cool. But like guys like Robbie, Sim, like they know when I'm talking about Konami, I'm really talking about Japan and the culture and the bubble in Japan, how they do things. So when I'm really like harping on Konami, it's about Japan. And guys know that. Robbie knows I'm not, when I'm talking about Konami or PES and giving it shit, I'm not personally taking jabs at them because they work really hard. I saw at E3 a sim worked into the night when other guys were out having drinks. You know what I mean? Like a sim was doing work. A sim loves what he does. So I got complete respect for how hard he works and stuff. I've seen the feedback that he puts in, and then I'm just like, yep, they didn't take any of that feedback on board. So I guess they really just don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? It's just like, so Japan's just going to do whatever the fuck Japan wants to do, basically.
I think he kind of alluded to that a little bit, hadn't he, during the sort of vitriol and backlash that quite a lot of the things that he was potentially agreeing with but not saying so were out of his control.
Yeah. And I think hindsight's a great thing, but I think it's his job at the end of the day, isn't it? And as much as what we've had our run-ins with in one way or the other, I understand you're not going to give...
those guys have a job to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's like myself in my job. You've still got to toe the line and stuff because at the end of the day, it pays your mortgage and stuff. So I get that. And it's a computer game. But unfortunately, because in this day and age, computer games are reliant on what social media presence it has and also what interaction it has with the fans, and not necessarily the approach and stuff, which I don't really agree with. And we've had our disagreements and we've sorted it and drawn a line under it. That's fine. I just think that because any sort of, this is my opinion, in any sort of criticism towards a game, anybody within the community is seen as a pain in the arse, a moaner, just someone who's out to cause problems. Because obviously now the hardcore fans, as we keep saying, are the minority. We're also the ones that they just want. We're like the annoying uncle that they just want to lock in a cupboard when there's a family do on because he's going to be
it's like the saying, right? It's like the saying that the people that are unhappy are usually the most vocal, and I totally get that. Like I understand that's true. That it's true in a lot of respects of society. It's usually the ones that are unhappy tend to be the loudest and the most annoying and most vocal. I get that, and for me, it's come to a precipice where, for the last 10 years, we've been given virtually the same feedback, and we've been told this is going to happen next year and next year. And a lot of that, I don't fault Adam. I'm sure a lot of it is coming from Japan to Adam, and Adam is relaying to the fans. And, I don't even Adam, even though we share pop, I told you, I showed you what a biscuit was, bro.
I really can't believe it. I can't believe you did it.
I showed you. You didn't even know what a biscuit was, bro. I showed you what a biscuit was.
I thought it was something that
I still love the guy. I know he didn't block me, so I know he's still got love for me. But I'm sure he just doesn't want to hear my bitching on his timeline. It's cool. But no, like it's just you're told stuff for 10 years. And then the last, 3-4 years, you have the same history repeating itself where you get early code or an early demo, and it's like, oh, this is good. This is heading in the right direction. Then you get the final game, and you're like, what the fuck? And it's the same thing every year. It's like history keeps repeating itself. And then so for me, when I hear people in the forums being, oh, you're overreacting, like we need to work together, be diplomat, but like, not say be diplomat, but we need to come together as a community and there's a community of different opinions and we should all come together and put, our positive and negatives together and send it back to Konami. This is how we move forward, blah, blah, blah. Dude, but we've been doing that for so long and it's the same shit. At a certain point, you're like, yeah, well, that's a waste of time. It ain't working. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. Just being honest.
No, but at the end of the day, and obviously I got a review copy this year. So in that respect, I was looking.
Yo, I got these fancy headphones right here.
Yeah. I
got these fancy headphones when I went for E3. I didn't know. No one said they were going to give me shit. They had one left over.
There's not wrong with that.
I was like, oh, I'll take, and I thank you for the headphones, but that doesn't. Nobody bought me off or anything, so I think that
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, but I like these headphones.
Yeah, look. But the thing is, it's like in some respects, you've got to toe the line because you have association with Konami, and I don't believe that. I believe if you're being true to yourself and you're being honest, then why the hell shouldn't you say this game is fucking rubbish, or the competitor does a lot of things quite average, but them average things add up to quite a good and stable game, which they do. They don't do a lot of good things amazing, FIFA and EA, but they do so many things right that just scrapes them through a playable game of football. Whereas PES does a lot of good things up here, but the stuff that's down here is just fucking terrible. Like the no fouls and all the other stuff that's gone on. And it's like, and the Masters League is just awful, as we all know. And that's what lets it down. There's a lot of great stuff in PES. When you look at it firsthand, you first see the game. Some guy had a compilation on Twitter before of goals that he put up. And I was just like, I just can't take it seriously. I'm just sat there thinking, I'm dying to look at it and go, wow, what a goal. And I'm thinking, keepers pushed it in at the near post. Well, I'll see that nearly every game I see online. You know, just one-on-ones, keepers to just dive in towards the ball. They don't save either side of it. And I just have no, it's bad, but I just think, I just don't have that feel like I did in the old days.
If they don't have the resources and they don't have the team, then focus on something. So it clearly appears that online is the way to go for them. They're making money, microtransactions in my club. So focus on the online, but let us know that's what your focus is going to be, is basically my argument. Tell us, so fans aren't, oh, Master League's going to get an overhaul, and then it gets a couple slides put in there or some shit. I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? Like, just focus on, one thing, because your resources are limited.
Cheers, by the way.
Oh, yo. Cheers, bro. Cheers.
Cheers, Andrew. I know we can't see you.
Cheers. Can't see you, but cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
But listen, like, so for example, for PES 2019, the things that they had early code in PES 2018, the pace was great. You had defending was risk reward, so they can get back to that, where you have more control as defenders. Almost, it was very similar to FIFA. You make pass assist 1, less assisted. You focus on shooting, and you make the teams, in terms of AI, you make them more compact and whatnot. You maybe play around with the tactical system. Like, so if you focus on online and you don't want to put all that energy into online, and making a great online game is what I'm saying. So make the game, make the individuality shine more by reverting the defending back to what it was, at E3 and the beta, where it was risk reward. It was, you were in control. You had just like in real life footy, it's more about cutting off passing lanes than it is just holding X and sprint and running towards the guy with the ball, which they reverted back to PES 2017. And so for me, it's like, you can do these little things. If you focus online, let us know that's what the focus is going to be on. You don't have to spend a lot of time and energy on AI. Just, if that's what the focus is going to be moving forward, focus on aspects of the gameplay that's going to make online a greater experience than your competitor. So I mentioned the defending, free up pass assist 1, so there's more error. You can add a stamina system, so teams can't press for full-on press for 90 minutes. Make stamina have to be almost risk reward, how much energy you're using, where if you're trying to press a whole match, by the time you get halfway through the second half, players start getting tired, meaning they lose acceleration, lose speed. Maybe their passes are less accurate. You know what I'm saying? Like, do something to get rid of the spam pressing. And also just make pressing risk reward like it was in the beta and in E3, where teams still try to players, when you're playing online, they still try to press you everywhere. But in real life, the real life footy teams, they press, certain areas of the pitch. When the ball's in the opponent's final third, they'll press. When the ball's in, when you have the touch line to your advantage, you could press guys, 3-4 guys into an area and try to either dispossess them or have them kick a long ball that ends up being a 50-50 ball that defender has a chance to win, and then you regain possession. Like, that's how you press in real life. And so if you're able to add that, make pressing. And that's what it was at E3. That's the sad part, is the defending, the pace of the game, the pressing was risk reward. Because once you got that past that first line of pressure, there was acres of space. You know what I'm saying? And so all these elements were risk reward elements. And then it's just like, I don't know what happened. They just reverted back to PES 2017. And everybody, when the game was released, everyone's like, dude, this is like PES 2017.5. Where's this amazing game that everybody was talking about at E3? And it's because they changed it. And so for me, it's just like, okay, you don't have the resources. So focus then on online, because that's clearly where it's going. Unfortunately, I'm a Master League guy just like all you guys. But unfortunately, that's where this is going. That's where gaming is going. So put your focus in online stability and elements of the gameplay that are going to make for a better, more rewarding online football experience than what your competitor is offering. And I feel like, redoing the shooting keeper, kind of all the animations and stuff, I feel like doing the pressing and the defending and making pass assist less assisted. I feel like these are things, one, they were in earlier code of PES 2018, but two, these are things that you should be able to do in one development cycle. We're not asking you to overhaul a freaking whole game. You know what I'm saying? These are things for PES 2019 you should be able to do that will enhance the online experience. And that's the frustrating thing. It's like every year, it's like if they did X, Y, and Z, it would make for a better experience. And then the following year, they change other things and not the things that needed to be changed. And it's like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? It just makes no sense to me.
You agree with that, Andrew?
Cheers, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Cheers, mate. Yeah. I mean, I would be disappointed, because I think for me, if it started gearing itself towards online, I wouldn't pick it up anymore. But
it already has, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think
it already has.
So if what you're going to have is a game like that, at least, like you say, advertise it in that kind of sense. Don't shoehorn in Masters League, which is 3 years old, which hasn't been able to keep up pace with the game.
Can I be controversial now?
Bring it, baby.
I have an idea regarding PES and the online side of it. As a predominantly online player, mainly because the offline is just terrible, and I've been an online player since 2006 properly. And I used to do the competitions for PES. Not that if you ever played with Brian, you'd think I'd ever been in any competition for PES now, because I'm fucking terrible. But I was, in my day, pretty all right. I think online, none of this filter bullshit, none of this manual or assisted stuff. Scrap all that. Every single game online should have full manual passing, but the shooting should be assisted in the games, in the filters, because it will stop all of the ping pong passing, all the spamming of through balls and stuff like that. You have to learn the game. Obviously, the shooting, you can have it manual, but the filters dictate that. I don't think the filters work, you see. So you'll have manual people against assisted, which is an absolute shit show. That's like Mayweather v McGregor. You might as well, one at boxing and one at MMA, he's going to get beat. And that's exactly what happened. So, well, obviously, most of the time, the manual people will get beat. But I think that's the only way you're going to combat PES's really, really bad ping pong passing. And FIFA's got it, but it is...
FIFA's got it too.
It is, yeah, of course it has. But FIFA has got the animation and the right systems in place to counter that. But PES hasn't. Once you get within 30 yards of the area as an attacker, you can pretty much go one-on-one with a keeper on PES, pretty much. And I think by going down the manual route, this is just my opinion, as someone who's played thousands of games online and got my ass kicked in thousands of games online, so I'm not, saying I'm good or anything, but it's the only way I personally think that can happen. And I would be very, very happy if Pro Evo went down that route. So you just scrap everything. PES 2011 had a manual passing of sorts where he didn't just go laser to a player, and the ball didn't just curve off and go straight to someone's feet. You actually had to sort of aim it in a direction, and you could actually put the balls, if you overpowered them, in front for players to run on. That's why I always laud 2011. It had its faults. The shooting was a bit soft and had a bit quite floaty, but the passing and the actual play in the midfield was something that I enjoyed because it had a bit of freedom about it. And I just think if that's what they're going to do, that would be one way to totally reinvent PES, but then again,
I mean, you could do that because there's no individuality in passing anyway right now.
Exactly.
The only flip side argument to that is have one passing system like PES 2011, and that system incorporates. It's almost like a semi-assist system where it incorporates individuality plus your own commands and how good you are with the sticks and stuff. And it's almost, did FIFA have something years ago? It was like the vision cone or something, and it showed how, you know, somebody like Fabregas, I swear there was a video. I don't know if it was like FIFA 11 or 10 or something, but it showed like a player like Fabregas would have a bigger vision cone. So his passes, he'd have more accuracy on his passes without being in direct line of sight. And then they showed like a shitty player and his vision was
I've seen that.
smaller.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And something of that nature, a one set of rules in terms of passing, semi-assisted, but something of that nature would actually bring back individuality in passing. Because, like I said in your last podcast, neither game has it. Like neither game has individuality in passing. The only thing that FIFA has more different types of passes that you can do, but PES has at least the visual side of the weighted pass where, you know, certain players who have that weighted pass card can do through balls with backspin, and it just visually looks like, ooh, it looks like a nice pass. But really, the accuracy it was going to get, regardless if it was Ozil making that pass or it was a shitty player, was going to get where it was going to go because the passing is so assisted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just, I think either that this 4-bar bullshit, it's got to go, man. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Andrew?
Cheers.
He's going to have a good day, isn't he, if he's already started on Corona from now as well? Jesus. Yeah. I'm just pessimistic as to whether anything like that is going to come for PES 2019. I think I'm very much on the fence now as well, whereas before I would have always been a staunch supporter and defender of PES. Whereas now, even if a World Cup game comes out in March or something like that, whether they'll actually build the standalone one, I'd probably be more interested in that as opposed to be really, really excited for a PES 2019. Yeah. I probably do sit right on the middle of the fence. It's just like, we try and sell me the best type of game for what I want to play, either on my own, but in the main, playing it as a group of friends. I will be very much open to either game. And I'm thinking, being realistic in saying I really don't see it changing overnight. What would be the harm if they do have a small company, even though you had suggested that maybe some of the changes that they would actually make within the development of the game could be made within the 12-month cycle? Although, let's be honest, the development cycle for something like that is probably only going to be about 6 months, maybe.
Right.
What
but
if
it's still though, but the thing, and I don't mean to cut you off, Hunter.
No.
I'm sorry. What I'm saying is they had those elements in place in early PES 2018 code with regards to the defending and the pressing and the pace of the game. So these are elements they know how to make, they know what to do. So it's not like they have to figure out how to create them. These are elements that were in early code that whatever happened when they were fine-tuning stuff or making little changes added up into a big change of the game. So they can do these things.
Yeah.
And so bringing those things back, adding a proper stamina system, overhauling the whole shooting, keeper, net physic interaction, because let's be honest, the way the way the ball hits the net in PES still sucks. I'm sorry. I said it. Look at the size of my hands. Look at my hands. Oh my God. They're so huge. Huge. Yeah. But the net physics still suck. They do.
Yeah. There's no reward when that ball hits the net. I totally agree.
There's none. That's the problem.
At
least FIFA gives me something.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you as well. Sorry, Andrew. When I score on FIFA, if we're in clubs and it's an important game, and I've scored some rocket top corner goals, you know, there is, like you said, Andrew, there's a reward there. Yeah. It's never going to be PES 5, PES 6, or any of the PESs from 1 to 6 is sort of feel, but there's something when it feels as if you've actually made a conscious effort to put that ball there, or you've gone for that angle or whatever, whereas in PES, it just feels like I can aim for the bottom corner and it'll go in the fucking top left-hand corner or something, you know, something stupid. It's just a button pressing exercise, I find, especially online. It's terrible.
Right. And don't get me wrong about my earlier comment. I would love for them to be able to overhaul Master League. I really would. I just being a small company, I feel like just the resources, because Adam always talked about, oh, if we make this change, I have to pull somebody who's working on this aspect of the game to pull them over here to make changes to that aspect. And it's like, okay, you're a small company, you have a small team, so you really have to focus on making something great, making an aspect of the game great and done really well. A mode, in this case, maybe online or what have you. But if you dilly up the time to a little aspect here in Master League, little aspect for this mode or that mode, then you're not really improving anything that much. It's still just going to be very minor across the board. You know what I'm saying?
It always baffles me to a certain extent, even with something like the commentary, where you would have all of these stock audio files from the last decade of the game, that why can't you just use some of them and build upon them so that you then have a vast array of commentary that actually feels a little bit more immersive, rather than listening to Jim Beglin say the same thing about goalkeepers and wages. Or, you know, I've probably heard that about 8 times within the first game that I played as well. It's strange that you can't use historical elements like that to be able to build up, especially when the capacity for a game becomes larger. Why can't you use stuff like that? I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. See, that's a big problem for me, the immersion, the fucking commentary. I mean, I know it was going back to the old, we've talked about this before, Brian, me and Andrew, but the commentary, do you have Jim Beglin in the US? Is that, yeah. He's fucking rubbish. I mean, he was an average footballer who works for ITV in the UK. Played for Liverpool. Yeah, he's not. Played for Liverpool, so obviously I'm pretty much not going to like him anyway. But he's just fucking rubbish. I mean, he was relevant in the UK in the 1990s, when he was on for the Champions League. He was like one of the first commentators. And why Konami have persisted with that guy, I fucking haven't got a clue, because he's not even someone who is on the UK TV. He's on like a third ITV4.
Relatable, is he? Yeah. Or I think he does quite a bit of coverage for American TV as well, or like Fox Sports.
Yeah, or Eurosport. He's like a commentator who'd be on something like fucking Albania via Azerbaijan or something, you know, some fucking deadbeat game where they're playing with 3 chickens and a cow in the midfield or something. It just doesn't make any it doesn't make any sense. You know, it's not. If they're going to compete with FIFA, sorry, Andrew, the FIFA have got 2 commentators who work for Sky. So they've got Martin Tyler and Alan Smith. And then you used to, when the World Cup stuff was on, or international games, you get Clive Tilsley and Andy Townsend. Now, Andy Townsend's not really relevant anymore. He does a bit of radio work and a lot of the US stuff. When you watch the Saturday games, he's one of the commentators.
It's about time he became irrelevant anyway, but carry on.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But they haven't got... So what, in my eyes, what they should do is Sky's direct competitor. So it's, as Sky TV in the UK is, say FIFA, BT is PES. So why don't PES go to fucking BT? Other than Michael Owen, who's fucking terrible, get 2 of their best commentators and use them. And that would revamp PES straight away, but make it relevant. You don't want fucking, is it, Alan, who's the commentator now? Is it Peter Brack or Alan? Who's the commentator for PES now?
I don't know. Is it not John Champion?
No, it's not John. It's not Peter Brack. But basically, you get that, Andrew.
Do you know what? I've distanced myself from the commentary that much. I can't even remember who does it anymore.
Well, I usually put the Spanish commentary on as soon as I get it, because it's fucking rubbish. And you get that thing, don't you? I always say it. It's like my line, but you always, after it gets to 3-0 and you just hear the commentator go over and over again, Neymar, Neymar. It's like, this is fucking rubbish. You know, it's not, it doesn't immerse you in fuck all, especially when you get beat 3-0 online. It's fucking rubbish.
You know what also is? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was saying it used to be joke. It almost used to be kind of a bit sarcastic, where we would laugh at it as well. Yeah. You know, it would almost be a little bit of a, but the joke kind of loses its purpose after 3 iterations of the same thing.
Yeah.
The thing is, when we were younger and playing, you know, I never played PES. It was always Winning 11 on PS2. And so when you would play Winning 11, I would play Master League. Oh, by the way, you guys got some shtick from people on the forum saying it's not called the Masters League, it's called Master League. and they were like, please, oh my God, I'm gonna shoot myself if I have to hear that.
But, sorry, so what's it called?
It's called a bag of shit.
All right, so anyway,
apologies guys.
The PS2 days when I was playing that mode, the bag of shit. But the thing was, the gameplay was so immersive and so good that you created, like, say you were in the, like, it was like what was the Champions League? It was like the WEN Cup or something. It was like it's like WEN Cup or whatever. Like you're in the WEN Cup semifinals or something, which is like the Champions League semifinals. You created the story in your head. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you created everything. The whole story of the game was created in your own imagination.
Yeah, exactly.
But then as we have gotten older, even if the gameplay was great, you know, I'm playing NBA 2K. I used to play MLB The Show. You know, even FIFA now. The presentation is so good. The commentary is so good. Like, I'm not a huge basketball fan, but NBA 2K18 is the best basketball game I have ever played. And it's one of the best sports games I have. If I loved basketball more, I would play it more. But when I play with my wife's brother and stuff, like, it is so good. The immersion, the presentation, everything just sucks you in. Same with MLB The Show. When I used to play baseball games, it sucked you in. And FIFA does that now with their presentation, has gotten to such heights where it's not as good as NBA 2K's, but it's getting there, and it sucks you in, and you play all these sports games that in so many ways are so far ahead of PES in so many areas that you're looking for those things when you play PES. You're missing those things where I feel like even if PES's gameplay was great, you know, there would be a part of me that could fill in the blanks and use my imagination because the gameplay is great. But there would also be that part of me that wasn't there when I was younger. That part of me that, man, like this, I wish it had like a proper presentation, proper commentary, things that just would suck me into the immersion more. Stuff I didn't care about when I was younger, but stuff now that I see it and experience it in other sports games, it's stuff that I would be missing and that I feel like I need for my own experience. You know what I'm saying?
I would really like it if 2K actually were able to have the investment to go into making a football game in this country as well, but I just don't see it.
I don't think they will.
I mean, they've obviously then got the funds to be able to do it so that you could have that game with all the presentation, but they just won't want to compete, but mainly because obviously NBA 2K18 and MLB as well, and everything else that they put together is successful enough for them, so it's probably of no interest to them to do anything.
Well, 2K does NBA. I believe Sony does MLB.
Oh, it does. Yeah, Sony does. Yeah.
So I think they're both different. But no, I understand what you're saying. Like with 2K, are you still drinking? What is that? You're like your fourth glass of champagne? Are you drinking champagne or why?
Have you noticed that he's just let us talk for about the last 20 minutes?
No, we're on Paul.
You're drinking Prosecco, you fairy? What are you drinking?
Oh, yeah. It's Prosecco. It's a poor man. It's a poor man's champagne. Don't worry.
I love it. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Sorry, carry on. Sorry.
You lost me. I was staring at your champagne glass.
That's the only thing that's champagne about. What's in that fucking glass?
All right, you guys carry on. I got to take a piss. I'll be back.
Sorry, Andrew. Carry on, mate.
No, I think he's right. I think you're always probably going to struggle, aren't you? Even if you have a really good, a good gameplay, that you're actually going to always struggle to. It's funny you said that actually, because that was the one thing I was thinking about NBA 2K18 as well. Is that I'm not necessarily a great fan, but the presentation in itself is terrifying. I mean, even when they used to do the NFL games, I'm guessing they've probably stopped them for a while as well, because Madden seems to be. But even those that they used to do back on the PS2, me and my friends used to play just because of how good the presentation was. Like the little halftime shows that they used to do and stuff like that were amazing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think as well as someone, obviously, and you've been to Old Trafford and that, when you go to a game, and I'm using that, obviously, I know these other grounds. But
with everyone's arms folded, waiting for an atmosphere to generate, you mean?
What, when it was fucking Van Gaal, I was like this?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you singing, mate?
but genuinely, I think what you're saying is right. And I think in some respects, what used to get Konami a pass and a free pass was the gameplay.
Nice pajamas.
Yeah, nice. I have got me finger ones on, Brian. Look, got me Chewbacca ones. We're all right. He's fucking gone in then. So he's probably getting a beer, actually, hopefully. But no, but what I say, Andrew, is the presentation and all the other stuff didn't mean jack shit for Konami because they got a free pass because the gameplay was so good.
Yeah.
Now, I go to Old Trafford. I don't walk into Old Trafford with a fucking pair of blinkers on and earphones and don't feel and smell. And I know you can't smell it, but the atmosphere of being at the game, the build up, the momentum of what's going to happen, you know, whether it's good or bad. And it's anticipation. And I think in that respect, when Pez doesn't have that thing about it, I know it's hard to replicate in a 10-minute football game, but there's no immersion to what you're doing. Do you know what
even small elements when we played, me and my friend played it last night, FIFA, and the commentators, you had the thing where I think it was an FA Cup game that we were coming out to. So you even had the referee was taking the little ball off the stand like they do when they're walking out onto Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Alan Smith was talking about Lukaku's goal scoring record. He was also talking about the statistics of a QPR player as well who was playing as well and stuff like that, talking about Old Trafford and everything as well. It's not hard. It's not hard to even include little things like that. It really isn't. But yeah, for me, I think if either of the games could get towards the presentation of NBA as well, you'd be definitely on to a winner.
See, Brian, me and Andrew met at a game called, we've mentioned it a few times, a game called Sociable Soccer. And it's made by the guy who created Sensible Soccer.
Okay.
And it's a totally different game. It's a top-down sort of arcade shooting game. You can tell how many Prosecco's I've had. A top-down football game.
I gotta say this for you. I just saw something. I don't mean to cut you off, but somebody named Samantha liked one of your tweets.
That's my wife.
And I pulled up her picture, and what do you know? She has a glass of Prosecco in her hand. Look at you.
I'm gonna say.
The plot thickens.
Prosecco. Look, there's the Prosecco. She's here. Say hello. Oh, she's not saying hello. Brian said your picture's got a bottle of Prosecco. Yes, it's true.
Yeah,
a glass of Prosecco. Glass. Look, there's the bottle. We're sponsored by
as I'm making a jerk off soon. I'm like, she's got a glass.
She's not coming on camera. No,
don't blame me.
Go ahead.
We did the Play Expo together, and that's how me and Andrew met. So we were promoting the game for them, and it's a great game, and they're really good people. But one thing that stood out is they haven't obviously got the license or the FIFA Pro license that obviously EA has, and it's always a get out of jail card with Konami. That because they haven't got the licenses, obviously they can't do so many things. But Sociable Soccer's teams are pretty close in name and everything like that because you can use the city that they're from. So they've got like Manchester Red, like obviously Pro Eva's got Man Red, Man Blue, but then they've got stuff like Chelsea in there because Chelsea is actually a city in London or a suburb of London or whatever it is. But they can use them sort of names. So that sort of thing. Obviously the players weren't named; they were quite close to it, but there's a full edit mode on it. But the atmosphere and even some of the chants, and that's a basic Steam $9.99 or say $15 game that's under development and something obviously we're close to. But they nailed a lot of the things right on such a low budget and a low development team over in Sweden. And then you've got Konami there giving us every excuse under the sun how they can't even have better chance in the game because just in case it sounds like something on there. Now, I'm pretty sure that EA haven't got the monopoly on fucking football chants. I'm pretty sure about that. They might have the names and stuff, but they've not got the monopoly. So why the hell Konami fuck about and just give us this droning.
Did we just get the third gameplay patch update for FIFA? I mean, I'm about to find out later when I just look.
There's been more than that. I think it's been 5 or 6.
How many gameplay patches within the sort of beta version of Sociable Soccer has there been since we got that copy of it for Steam?
Probably 6, I would have thought. 5 or 6.
And what's your guys have? 2?
1?
Well, 1.5, I think.
Yeah, 1.5. Yeah,
1.5.
One main gameplay patch.
The only other thing that patch did was add about 1 foul a game, which people can argue all they want with me.
Oh, shit, mate. You're starting to remind me of the horrors of reporting on shit like that as well. Christ almighty. Yeah, what's the point in introducing a revolutionary free kick system when you don't get any against the computer?
You know what I was thinking? When they had Beckham as a legend and they announced it, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like, this is before I knew they fucked up the game. And I'm like, dude, that is so awesome. And then the whole, like, wait a second. But there's no fouls. When the fuck is anybody going to get to use Beckham? You know what I'm saying?
I was like, I can sign him for my United team in Master League. Master League.
I apologise. Not Masters League. Master League.
Shit.
What sort of fans are we?
I don't know. What unbelievable. So this is coming from an English graduate as well, mate. What a piece of shit I am. Unbelievable.
I'm just the fucking council estate scumbag from Old Trafford now, all right? I'm allowed to say Masters League. But no, I agree, because Beckham, you can't even use him in anything other than my club. So with there being no fouls, what's the point in having him on the team? Because other than corners, you're not going to fucking get him for free kicks, are you?
That's it.
Right.
Yeah. You're starting to remind me of the horrors of it, mate. It really is. I'm so glad I've moved away from it. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But I still don't really hold out much hope, because I think someone was saying as well, you know, it's great that Adam's been able to move over to Tokyo, so we'll have an influence on how the game is developed going forward, one way or another, whether it's like what Brian said, are we going to get more of an online focused game? And then even if that's really tight, you know, that'll be a success for them as well. But it kind of needs to have a vision rather than trying to be a jack of all trades and master of none. I still don't know that we're going to see that much of a vast improvement. But if they get the kind of press and the kind of rewards and game awards and scores on Metacritic and stuff like that, is it really going to harm them? But it must harm them that quite a bit, because how much can you get it for now? About 15 quid?
Yeah. I think you can get it with Rice Krispies as well if you collect 5 tokens.
If you get the right pack of Rice Krispies. Yeah. I was wondering what that...
Really?
Yeah. I was wondering what that was in my bowl the other day as well. It's in the bin.
We get fucking slated for this, aren't we? It's like
it's a football game as well. Get a life. Jesus Christ. If you're going to start moaning about people critiquing a football game as well, you need to get out more.
Well, exactly. I think as well, though, one thing I would say, if you look... With Konami, I think you're right. Every single year, the game is not the same game that you got the year before. Now, if you look at Call of Duty, for its faults or whatever, even FIFA at 8 to FIFA 18, you know that them games, the DNA is quite similar. Konami panic or flip-flop from different versions every year. Them games, this year has been probably the closest it's been to 2017, but usually... the games are unrecognisable to the year before iteration. So a lot of good things that were in, say, PES 2015 were not in 16. It wasn't even identifiable as the same game on the pitch other than in the name, PES. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where they need to go with an identity and stick with it. And you live and die.
I made a comment that PES 2014 was kind of a missed opportunity, in my opinion, for Konami.
Was that the first one on the previous generation?
PES 2014?
Yes. Or 15.
No, on PS3, you mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to think which was the first one on PS3.
PS4.
2012.
PS3 was PES 2008.
Jesus Christ, I'm old. Anyway, carry on.
No, PES 2014, was that on PS3 or PS4?
That would have been on PS4. The PS4 came out in November the 22nd. November the 29th, sorry, in the UK, 2013. And the Xbox was out the 22nd because it was day for my birthday.
Absolutely made that glass of Prosecco just disappear as well.
He did. Look at that.
I've got 4 o'clock. I'm going to be fucked.
It was PS3. I just got a text that from my main man Charles, who's watching the podcast, that it was PS3. PES 2014 was on PS3.
Tell Charles he's the man.
He's watching. You can tell him.
Charles, thank you for viewing, mate.
Cheers. You are our distant Alexa at this point.
Yeah,
he's a douchebag. But anyway, so with PES 2014, in terms of, I know I'm going to get a text from a missed opportunity is PES 2014. They were going for something more sim and more hardcore, and a lot of the issues that we are experiencing in the past 3 or like from 2015 on weren't really there in PES 2014. It feels like, you know, the biggest issue with PES 2014, if you remember, was the responsiveness and the response times. And for a lot of people, it was just too much for them to overcome. And what Konami really needed to do, because they had really good animations, is they needed more transition animations to give that visual feedback of why there was kind of a delay, if you understand what I'm saying, why there was kind of or even it could even add to responsiveness, having more of those transition animations. There just wasn't enough. I mean, if you go on YouTube right now and you pull up, you know, PES 2014, you know, demo gameplay or the early demo gameplay, and you just watch it move, it looks better than it looks right now. Just the animations, there just wasn't enough of them, if you understand. There wasn't enough transition animate to make the game more responsive. But it was going on a hardcore sim trajectory. And then they just, when that game got released, it was a shit show. If you guys remember, I don't know if you remember, when PES 2014 actually got released, it was a shit show. It was a mishmash of different ideas. They were trying to fix the response times, and it was just a mess. And then PES 2015, they just started on this kind of more fast-paced, open pitch, less congestion. It went away from that sim direction that PES was going towards. And I think that was, in my opinion, a really big missed opportunity for Konami to stand their ground and continue on in that direction and acknowledge, hey, there's some responsiveness issues. We're working on those. We're going to add more transition animations for 2015 and blah, 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 blah. But this is the direction we're going to keep. I feel like it's a missed opportunity because it was at a time where the allure of FIFA 08, 09, 10, and 11 was starting to wear off for a lot of people, because FIFA then became it just became redundant, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was an opportunity for them to carve out a niche in the marketplace, because FIFA sells, on average, what, 14 to 17 million copies a year. Right. So, I mean, and if you go on NeoSeeker, you go on official FIFA forums, you go on all these FIFA forums, and there's just people that they have so much hate towards FIFA, but it's all they know, it's all they play, so they're still going to buy it and they're still going to play it. And the thing is, it's not just a difference, in my opinion, in terms of age. I genuinely believe there are young gamers that are yearning for a deeper, more sim-like experience with a football game, and PES could have carved out the niche in the marketplace for that group. And instead, they decided to go on this trajectory where they're trying to be like FIFA. And it's been said countless times on our podcast, like it's not a winning bet. It's not a sustainable long-term winning strategy, because you're not going to out FIFA. You know what I'm saying? You're just not going to do it. So while they're showing, oh, we sold 2.3 million copies this year, like we're killing it in microtransactions, we're making a shit ton of money in terms of that regard. I don't see it being, especially this year when you see so many PES 2017 fans on social media hating on PES 2018. And once again, small sample size, I admit, but it doesn't feel like, to me, it's a long-term sustainable strategy, because eventually people are going to be like, hold on, let me take the blinders off. PES and FIFA their ethos is exactly the same. It's becoming exactly the same, yet one game just offers me a shit ton more. Why aren't I playing that game? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's eventually going to catch up to them. Like, I just don't feel like the trying to out FIFA is sustainable. That's just my opinion.
No, I think as well. I think one thing, as I'm listening to you, it sort of popped in my head is, in some respects, what happened with FIFA was Konami's fault, because PES 2008 is when the game started declining, because obviously that game was just a complete mess. It wasn't finished. There's no way, I said this in the last podcast review, Brian, but there's no way that game was passed in quality checks at all, because the online teleporting and that was something that, as someone who spent thousands of games online in PES 5 and 6, there was none of that. There might have been a bit of, you could get the odd cheating, because you basically would you could host one half of the game, and then the other person hosted the other half in PES 2005 or PES 5, and at least on Xbox, by the way. And then PES 6, obviously, you went down the 360 route, and I only played it on the PS2 now and again, because I had it on the 360. But then they fucked up, basically, because both games, I remember going for, I think it was PES 3. I don't know what Winning 11 equivalent is, but Pro Evolution Soccer 3. So you
right. PES 5 is Winning 11-9. So
right. So it would have been
8, 3 is 7, which is my favorite PES of all time, by the way.
Well, exactly. So say
favorite.
Winning 11-7.
Winning 11-7 International for me was my favorite Winning 11 of all time.
Which is, what's the version?
PES 3.
PES 3.
I found the AI was very challenging. I really enjoyed it. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, sorry. So what I remember going into a game in the UK, and that was probably, I could be wrong here, so people can correct me, but I'm sure that game released the same day as FIFA, and PES was outselling it when it first come out. I remember going into a game, and FIFA and PES come out on the same day, which was unheard of in the UK, and PES was that successful then that I might be wrong, so you can, if I'm wrong, but I remember going in and people were buying PES over FIFA, because FIFA was just seen as a licensed joke. It was sweet spot goals. There was just bullshit going on, other than, having Wayne Rooney on the front of the game, or Ronaldinho, or whoever, Ryan Giggs, or whoever they had at the time. It was all just generic licensed bullshit. PES was where to go. And then we get to PES 5 and 6. PES was probably its highest, strongest capacity as a game. It was the best football game, and still holds up to today against any game since, as one of the best football games ever. Even FIFA 08 and 09 and 10, which I enjoyed. FIFA 09 I enjoyed a hell of a lot. That was probably one of the best FIFAs, and FIFA 10 World Cup, as we said last time. But since then, they've only got themselves to blame, because something happened at Konami where the player engines never moved over from the PS2 era to the next generation. And obviously, I always believe, as Sony were a big part of what the success of PES, where PS2 and that, once it went to the PS3 and the online coming properly, they just seemed to lose way completely, and the game engines were never complete for 2 or 3 years. And by that time, FIFA's juggernaut and Ultimate Team had just come from nowhere. And
they weren't prepared to go to the PS3.
No, not at all.
Prepared.
The 360, and it never come out on the PS3, Brian, but the Xbox 360 version of PES 6 was,
I played it once at a friend's house.
It's a great game. I played hundreds of games on that online, about 1,000 games online. There was no Masters League. There was no. It just got stripped back to the bare bones. I don't think there was an edit mode. I've still got it. I've got it in all my collection of PESs in there, and it was a great game, 101. But then PES 2008 come out on the Xbox 360 and PS3, and it was just a disaster. I had it on both systems, and PS always had the more populated fan base, and it was just a fucking joke. And then from there, that's when FIFA started producing a half-decent game, and from 8, 9, and 10, it just went up here, and PES just stayed where it was. And really, there's no one else to blame but themselves. They can sit here and say whatever they want. Ultimate Team was a absolute marketing dream when that come out, but because Ultimate Team would never have been successful if the gameplay wasn't half decent on FIFA. And they can wax lyrically and say bullshit. I don't believe you, Chris. I believe that if that hadn't come out and the gameplay wasn't at the same level, then Ultimate Team would be a fucking waste of time. It'd just be for kids and stuff. Whereas now it's just a monster. And as Andrew said in one of the other podcasts, that's actually a bigger game than Pro Evo, and that's just a game mode within a game. It's not actually, that could go as a game on its own, and it's not. And it's that successful, and the money that's generated off it is probably one of the biggest games ever in gaming. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so Madden is EA's most successful, isn't it? And then the second most successful is Ultimate Team. It's not FIFA. It's Ultimate Team.
Ultimate Team is more successful, and that's what I'm saying. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying it's the same as yours, Brian, or Andrew's, but in my opinion, that's what I believe. You know, I'm that passionate.
No, I hear you. I never got in. I wish I would have played FIFA 09.
Yeah,
I heard FIFA 09 was a good game.
They were kind of the best versions. They were definitely the best versions of the games. That's where I had picked up FIFA after sort of PES 6. For me, PES 6 was the best PES game. I love that one. I mean, that's the one I probably played the most hours, coinciding with how I actually got a degree out of sucking so many hours into.
Oh, I thought you were going to say after sucking so much dick.
My project. That was
you're like sucking so much. I'm like, where's he going with this?
Jesus, I've drunk too much wine. It was getting personal all of a sudden there as well. But I managed to pull myself back from it in the end as well. Not the thing that you were thinking as well, but I think, I don't know, to even get close to anything like that. Yeah, I don't really see me being able to plunge, and again, I'm using suggestive words, to as many hours as I did into PES 6. But yeah, FIFA 08, 09, around then, sort of even to sort of FIFA 10, 11, they were kind of the best before it came back around to PES again.
Yeah.
I hear you guys. Oh, by the way, Charles said he enjoys listening to me, Chris, and Alan Shearer. I guess he thinks you sound like Alan Shearer.
That's incredible, isn't it? I didn't sound like him at all, Peter. I don't even sound like him from Newcastle. For Christ's sake.
Well, about me, what's he said about me? Because I'm a Mancunian, so I either sound like Liam Gallagher or Mark Owen. I'd take that. So it's
If he didn't mention your quiff, I'd be disappointed.
Did he not mention the hair, Brian?
I did. No, I did not.
Did Charles not mention that?
He did not mention the hair.
Disappointed face, Charles. I tell you what, Brian, actually, we got called out on Twitter after our last podcast. Bibby, who unfortunately is a City fan, unfortunately, but he's a very good supporter of the podcast, so thank you. Yeah. He said we didn't mention This Is Football as one in our top 5 games. He was not happy with us.
Oh, well, I never played it.
Yeah,
so I only mentioned my top 5 games that I played that were meaningful to me. You know what I'm saying? So I never played. I heard of it, but I never played it.
I think to be fair, you probably mentioned, Chris, is that when we went back through with the Raspberry Pi or with your soft modded Xboxes, that oh god, it was like rose tinted glasses, wasn't it? It's like shit. This was probably good 2 decades ago as well, but some of them really haven't stood the test of time at all.
That's what I feel about the World Cup '98 game. I was telling Chris, I don't know if you listened to the last podcast, but I loved that game summer.
I was playing it the other day. Yeah.
On PS1, the World Cup '98
game? Yeah.
Oh, my God. I used to play hours, man. Hours. I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
It was, and now I go back and play it. I'm like, oh, this is fucking rough, man.
It's really rough.
It is really rough. Brian, are you all right to... We're going to talk about...
let's talk about Man United. I watched that game yesterday. I was like, what the fuck?
Fucking hell. I'm going to have to go on another bottle of Prosecco if we're talking about Fuck me. Well, we'll talk about United, actually, because basically, 11 seconds in, it went to shit. And then from there, we had a 10-minute spell where we thought we were going to score. We had a couple of good chances. And then all the players decided that they'd either been smoking weed or eating space cakes because they looked about 3 yards slower than Spurs. And from there, we got exactly what we deserve, and that was fuck all because we were terrible.
I think the one thing that I'd probably realised is the application to a starting 11 like that as well. They're probably not really that far away from us. I know City are kind of running away with it, but you'd probably argue differently. For me, the starting 11 of that Spurs side isn't necessarily that far away. I know they play a little bit more centrally. Maybe with them obviously signing Lucas Moura, it's probably going to give them that kind of natural width that they need that they don't, or that they might get from the fullbacks as well.
Wait, Tottenham signed Lucas Moura?
Yeah.
Yesterday.
What? Oh, I must have missed that. Damn.
They presented him on the pitch at halftime as well.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't watch the full game, but I saw most of the game to
Yeah, I wish I'd not watched it, Brian. Don't worry.
I love Eriksen, by the way.
No, he's going to be at Barcelona, I think, sooner rather than later. He's top draw. He's exactly what they need. I can see him staying there as well. But I don't know. I thought we were about, like you said, we were probably about 5 or 10 yards off the pace as well. I understand why Pogba got taken off as well. It really, really irritates me how he can just stroll through some games, how he thinks he can win. We can't.
Let me ask you guys a question. As Man U fans, do you feel, because every time I watch Man U, Pogba...
Brian, don't go any further. As a season ticket holder, United, you'd never call us Man U. What do you guys want to be called? Man United or United. Never call us Man U. Because all the scumbag other fans call us Man U or the Rags, which is what the City fans call it.
Okay.
Carry on.
I apologies. So I was watching Man U. And every time I watch United, it feels like Pogba is sitting so deep. I'm like, you spent all that money for him not to be closer to goal. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. I just wanted to see
you're exactly
your
right.
Thoughts.
No, you're right. It's not an airport though.
When he was more successful in his career at Juventus, granted he played in a midfield three with Arturo Vidal and Andrea Pirlo. He's probably not going to get better than that in his footballing career, but he played a lot further forward as almost like an inside left. So he played on the left-hand side of midfield, not as a winger, but as more of an attacking sort of left midfielder. So you would get more of the influence off him. So he would come inside on his right foot and then he would either pick a pass or he would put something in the top corner. Why Mourinho is persisting on playing him a little bit deeper alongside Matic to control the game from there, it's not where he's going to be influential at all. And it shows, as much as Lukaku has been dreadful for the last handful of games as well, regardless of the goals that he scored as well, the further away from Lukaku he is, the less influential Lukaku is because he relies so much on that link-up play with Pogba. And I know it's probably up to the two wide forwards to bring Lukaku into the game and vice versa as well. But I think the further you put Pogba back, the less likely, if you played against some other middle-of-the-road Premiership team, but not against Spurs, you need to get... Do you
feel like Mourinho puts him... He has him held back because he doesn't trust his center backs and he feels like he needs that cover? Because at Juventus, when they had the three-man back line, he knew there was a wall back there that he could get forward and they wouldn't get screwed.
Sorry to interrupt, but let me get on to the main subject about this United talk. Fucking blockhead Phil Jones and fucking Krusty the Clown Smalling.
It was an amazing goal. I applauded. I got off and I clapped. I thought it was amazing.
To score a better goal.
Chris Smalling is the worst centre-back I've ever seen. When he gets the ball, Brian, he's like his feet are about a size 20. That's why I always say he's got clown feet, because the ball, he side foots it and it just goes up in the air about 50 yards and lands exactly where he kicked it from. Jones, I'm sorry, they have 5 or 6 good games and everyone's like, oh, great players. But at the end of the day, they play for England. And there's a reason why England is shit, because they're the backbone of that team. And I hate watching England anyway. Fucking them two are the worst centre-backs United have ever had. Between them two and Johnny Evans, it was like the ball was a bomb and they have to get rid of it within 1 second. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like someone says to him, as soon as that ball hits your feet, you've got to get rid of it, because they couldn't pass a ball to save their lives, and the positioning is just fucking shit. And
when we're on top of games and when we're confident and positive, Chris Smalling is a different player. But when the game requires him to be quick of thought and to be nimble with his feet because the players are pressing us really high as well, that's where he gets exposed. And that's where he will never be the top draw centre-back that he thinks he can be, because he'll play at his best when the team is cruising, when the team is 2-0 up against Stoke or something like that. But when you've got either Liverpool or Spurs pressing you really high and demanding you to play a quick ball, that's where his weaknesses are definitely exposed.
Of course, yeah. And I think as well, Ashley Young got exposed. Tottenham are a great team when they're pressing. There's a reason why we're second and they're fifth, because we've been more consistent. We've not been great against the big teams. Whatever anybody says about last night, we're still second. But the left wing, for me, has been a bugbear for years, because play a left fucking footed fullback and a left winger, because either that or you have a left fullback who overlaps the guy who's always cutting in, because on that left wing, we had Ronaldo, great. No arguments with Ronaldo. You know, one of the best players for them last 2 seasons for us in the world. Nani was in fits and starts. You had Ashley Young there, who's just always going to cut inside because he's right-footed. Yeah. So if you're going to do that, get a fucking left back who's going to overlap and actually create.
Why on earth, after him playing a consistent run of games, I know that Ashley Young was back, but why? So he just doesn't trust Luke Shaw in any sense whatsoever, that you can have your left winger coming inside and then relying on the overlap of somebody like Luke Shaw. I know he's not had the greatest start, but what's the point in playing him if you're not going to continue with him? I really don't understand that at all.
No, I don't. And sorry, Brian. I know we're on a rant here, but genuinely, I'm with you. And then I thought Matic. I like Matic, but he had a poor game. He doesn't fit.
He looked slow yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Slow.
I would say, Brian, that United get in these big games. I don't know what happens with it. It's an adrenaline dump. And I'm saying this as if I could do it. I obviously couldn't do it. I was a poor man's five-a-side player, so I can't say nothing. But in the same respect, yeah. But in the same respect, United gets about the 50th minute against these big teams and they don't look fit. They look fucked. I mean, Pogba looked like he was in the testimonial. Like when Rooney used to play last year, Rooney always looked like he was fucking strolling all the time. And that's what seemed to happen. And then Sanchez was running round like an idiot and he was the only one who actually looked like he cared about the team. I mean, Rashford would have done when he come on. But obviously fucking Krusty the Clown got injured, Fellaini, which I was quite happy with, and he's gone off. So hopefully he'll never darken the door of our team ever again. That fucking idiot, because he's fucking terrible. Sorry to interrupt, but I just think at the end of the day we're not far off. If we played our best 11, it isn't what was playing last night. It wasn't far off. Then Eric Bailly's a great player, but he needs someone. Even Rojo was good last year, but he's been injured, and when he's come back,
that injury's really knackered him. I hope that he will come back as well, but it was almost as bad as Ibrahimovic's, and he's not even like half his. Well, I mean, what is he, about 3 or 4 years younger?
Yeah,
it's a really, really bad injury. I was at the game as well when he did it, and he just looks like he struggled. Because for me, what really helps is if you play back three, that you can have Rojo, Bailly, and probably I would still, as much as I know what you mean, I think the one thing that worries me about somebody like Phil Jones is you could have 5 good games, but then you're in the semi-final of a Champions League and he puts the ball in the back of his own net and scores an away goal for the team. And then that's where we're really struggling. We need to, against better opposition, play 3 in midfield. If that means that you play Carrick, Matic and Pogba, or you play Matic, Herrera and Pogba, even though I think Herrera's been fucking terrible this season as well. He's so far behind it. It's probably where we need to improve. It's probably where we need to improve in the summer.
Well, the most important thing, and the one thing that's been bugging me about United, as much as I love the guy, what the fuck is De Gea doing with that stupid ponytail? Let's discuss. Brian, what are you saying?
What?
De Gea's ponytail. What are we saying about that haircut, that stupid bun he's got going on?
I'm sure Charles is trying to replicate it. I'm sure he's trying to grow that shit out.
I would say if you're the best goalkeeper in the world, you can kind of do what you want, really, can't you?
Yeah, true. No.
It's absolutely disgusting, but still at the same time.
Yeah. It's just
can we talk about my team?
Of course.
Chelsea. No, I'm just kidding. They're not my team. I'm just fucking with you guys. I have been playing with them on FIFA.
Hey, last night they got hammered. Last night
they did.
Yeah, by Bournemouth as well. I'm going to happily watch Match of the Day later as well.
I can't watch Match of the Day. When United get beat, I can't watch it.
I just don't hope that they sort of take this kind of intermediate form into the Sevilla game. I mean, I think we're quite lucky that we have the away game first in a few games time. Have we got 2 league games? Oh no, we've got a league game and then the FA Cup, and then we've got Sevilla.
We've got Huddersfield on Saturday at 3:00,
and then we've got the 5th round of the FA Cup, and then the Champions League.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea after the Champions League.
Brian's just done this to us to piss us off now, and he's just gone to shit.
I was really enjoying myself until you mentioned United, mate.
Thanks, Brian. Cheers.
That's what I'm here for.
Bibby's loving this because he's been dying for this section so we can all have a rant. It's almost like Arsenal TV rant.
No, nothing's as worse as that, mate, honestly.
All I've got to keep saying is blood and fab and all that shit.
Then it will be literally akin to them, yeah.
Brian, have you ever seen Arsenal TV?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Who hasn't seen Arsenal TV?
That is ridiculous.
I love it when the 2 dudes argue back and forth about if Wenger should go or not.
Yeah.
It feels like they've been doing that for a decade.
I don't understand why someone's not smacked each other by the way they go on. They really go. And that guy's dressed up in the full Arsenal, full kit wanker stuff with his gloves and hat on. And he's about 50, that guy. The little guy. I can't remember his name. He's just, I mean, saying that, United have got a few fucking idiots. They've got a guy, Brian, on Twitter called Mark Goldridge. And I just can't stand the guy. And he sits there in like a retro United top. He never goes to any games. There's pictures of him in a Nottingham Forest shirt, and he's got hundreds of thousands of people following him about United. And this guy hasn't got a clue what he's talking about with United. He's terrible. If you look at him on Twitter, he's an absolute plum. He's an absolute idiot.
I just have as well. Have you
seen him? Have you not seen him, Andrew?
That's the first time I've seen him. He's got 28,000 followers. There you go.
Have a look for Mark Goldridge, Brian. He's a fucking idiot. United fans hate him.
Can we stop talking about United now? Look, I mean, yeah. I'm happy-ish with the squad. Sanchez is such a good signing. I just think we really need to forget about that game. It only worries me that our form against the top 6 under Mourinho is very, very, very poor. Is very poor. You know, we've won 1, we've conceded 12 goals, we've scored 3 goals.
I thought it was the special one. What happened?
Well, there you go.
What happened, guys?
I don't know. It's like the excuse. I mean, he's got a book of excuses after every game as well. To be honest, last night he should have just said, played shit, dust it off, let's go on Saturday.
I think what's happened is the Mourinho part the bus and defensive masterclass, because the players are fitter and stronger, and the Premiership's got stronger because of the money. You can't get away with that shit anymore. The game's evolved over 7 years. So when we're playing, like Andrew said, Stoke at home and we're winning 2-0, or like Huddersfield on Saturday, I might be wrong here. I might be pissing in the wind, but I reckon we're going to dick them on Saturday. So it'll be another false dawn, and everyone will be patting each other on the back and all that shit, and they'll be fucking dabbing and doing all this fucking bullshit. Yeah, when we're winning 2 or 3, yeah, exactly, 2 or 3-0. And I think the game's evolved, and he hasn't in some respects. And unfortunately, his personality of being quite stubborn lets him down, because he will not acknowledge sometimes his mistakes. And you can see it. The petulance is there. I like Mourinho. I love the fact that he don't give a shit what people say. I like the arrogance of him sometimes.
I do to a certain extent. I do, but if he wins his trophies like he did last season, then I won't complain, mate. But you know, and that this, you know, as much as I can say it through gritted teeth and watch Bibby pissing himself in his bloody at his home eating his fucking pizza, the bastard as well. That they're a different beast altogether, man.
You say is Bibby a United fan or a City fan?
He's a big City fan. He's a big fan.
Oh yeah.
But he'd be like most.
Don't worry, the better manager. You guys are fucked.
Yeah, but Brian, don't worry. He'd be like most City fans. He'll be watching it from his house in his armchair. He's going to give me loads for that. But there are plenty of empty seats. Don't you worry about that. They might be top of the league, but they'll never be.
I'll tell you what. Who would be Premier League Player of the Year? Because I think De Bruyne has been
De Bruyne. De Bruyne has been class,
amazing.
Yeah. Even though he's been patchy as well, I think in the patches where he's been good and they've gone on that 13-game winning streak as well, he's been instrumental in that as well. I mean, you can't really forget David Silva in that, as much as I know he's been out of the side for the past 5 or 6 games. But really, I think
Sterling's played well, though. Raheem Sterling's played well for City.
Yeah. I want to ask you guys a question, by the way. Oh, you finished. Go ahead.
Go on, Brian.
Yep.
So what would be, because I'm huge into, like, I cannot wait for the World Cup. I'm big into international football.
Yeah.
Who is your England starting 11 right now?
Oh, that is interesting, isn't it? We were actually discussing this with some of the guys who are part of the Pixel Hunter setup. So for me, my 3 centre backs would be Stones, Jones, and Maguire.
Mm-hmm.
My keeper would be Jack Butland. Left back would be Danny Rose, and right back would probably be Kyle Walker.
So you playing with a 5-man back line?
Yeah, play with wing backs, definitely.
Okay. Yep.
And then see, this is where I really struggle. To be honest, it shows how poor our midfield selection is, because if Jack Wilshere is fit, he probably gets into there as well. I'm really struggling as to who would you say, Chris, had come into midfield?
Or you put
it'd be Dele Alli
in there? Or?
No, fuck that. No. We can't have a Scouser in there. No.
Oh, well, Charles is going to be pissed.
Oh,
Charles
sorry, Charles.
now.
All right. Well, Jurgen Klopp. No, I don't know. I'd probably say Dele Alli.
So who's your defensive holding midfielder? That's what I was trying to figure out. I was thinking about
Eric Dyer.
But he's patchy at best. He played in Germany. He was from originally, the German sort of academies. But Eric Dyer. Then it'd be Dele Alli. I'd have a shout. I'm sorry, it's my United rose-tinted glasses, but I'd probably still put Rooney behind Harry Kane, just for his experience and stuff.
Wow. See, we just don't have that kind of, like a good central midfielder that can do the best of both worlds. If you have, like, Jordan Henderson might have been, but quite clearly isn't. I mean, it's almost like I'm looking at the midfield three as I would do it in my PES Masters League, where I want a destroyer just in front of the centre-backs, who is your anchor in midfield. I want that central midfielder just in front of him that can do kind of
the
everything.
box-to-box kind of midfielder.
Like Pogba, when he's in the midfield three. And then you want almost like your number 10. So like your Lingard, Rooney.
I'm the same as you, man. I'm same as you.
Yeah,
I hear you.
And then two wide forwards, and you could. I mean, Sterling probably needs to play, really, doesn't he?
Right.
Sterling needs to play just because of his form for Man City as well. Harry Kane up front, and then you can probably pick a few on the left-hand side. One of them maybe being Rashford. But this is where it's tough for Rashford if he's going to be sat on the bench for the rest of the season with United.
It's a bit, it's a bit like what happened with Danny Welbeck. He had half a season with United, got in the England team, and then United didn't play him. And Van Gaal obviously sold him, but then he sort of went downhill there. But to be fair, I don't like Welbeck at all, but he was good for England. Like Peter Crouch was, he got a lot of goals for England.
But he's not going to go on the plane as well. I think the thing for me, Brian, would be I would really be struggling. And this is the thing, when we were sat in the pub and there was about 4 or 5 of us the other night, and we were really struggling to put 5 strikers on the plane to Russia. It was almost like, well, who's English? I mean,
what about any of the England players that won the Under-20 World Cup? Are they not breaking in the Premier League?
The problem with English football, really, is that the likelihood. So, right, okay, so take Germany as an example. Most of the Under-21s or from that kind of era, I think it's something scary. Like 80% of them play in the Bundesliga, so they all play top-flight football. I think it's probably about 20% or something like that play in the English Premier League. But we're in this kind of situation where it's like a multicultural league, isn't it, that is taken up from all nationalities.
And they're not playing youth?
No, because you can't. I think any of the top 6 teams can't afford to do that because you need to be instantly successful. So quite a lot of them drop down to the Championship, which is the league below, and then try desperately to get some sort of form together and then break through and either go back to their parent club where they are on loan at another team, or then try and go to a lower Premier League team to make the way up. I think it'd be really hard for a young English player, unless you are that sort of cut above the rest, to be able to get in. It's only the likes of Germany, and then surprise, surprise, Germany are really successful in the international competitions because quite a lot of their young players get that exposure and experience.
That's the same for France and Spain too.
Absolutely.
In a lot of ways,
yeah. We're just unfortunate that even though it's probably the most popular and all the money's there as well, it just means that there is a kind of a big cross-section of every nationality, and you can have...
That's detrimental.
It is, definitely.
I think as well, I have very little time anymore for watching England, Brian. I'm not very patriotic like I used to be. I used to be really into England and everything. I think 2002 was the last time they were in Japan when I was really into the reversible.
Far back as like France 98 or Euro 96, mate, really.
Because there was, I mean, it's a sad thing, this, and it's a cliche, Brian, but there was a big anti-United thing, obviously, when Beckham got sent off to Argentina. And from there, it just was like, it was just a massive thing. I mean, I've had friends and family went to 98 World Cup in France, and anyone who wore a United shirt was getting fucking smacked, cracked. The fans were singing, the England fans were singing anti-United songs. And don't get me wrong, I always want England to win. I always want them to win, but I never watch any of the internationals. I don't watch any of the qualifying, not because I'm a fair weather fan. I just don't believe in the bullshit. There's been so much politics. They've had such good players played for England over the last 10, 15 years, and the politics of trying to shoehorn, it's an old cliche in England, but it's the shoehorning of Gerrard, Lampard and Scholes in the team. So Scholes ended up as the left sort of midfielder under Ericsson,
which was so dumb.
Which is fucking scandalous. And then you should have had Scholes playing with one of them. And there was times where I would have picked Lampard. There's times I would have picked Gerrard because of his legs, Gerrard. Lampard's a goal-scoring threat, but I would have played someone else there in a free, but I wouldn't have played the three of them. So then Scholes retires early because he's like, well, I'm not fucking doing this shit. You playing me out of position. What benefit? And he scored goals for England. And I know that's being biased as a United fan in some respects, but you had three of the best midfielders this generation's ever seen, and they couldn't play together. And it shows, really, you can have all these players. A bit like what's happening with United at the moment. You've got all these great attacking players, but to play as a team, someone's got to drop out. And that's, unfortunately, he was the person who had to drop out. But you had people like Emil Heskey playing for England, who's fucking absolutely terrible other than the Germany game. I think that was probably the last game where I've actually cheered for England properly. So when it comes to England, I have a big problem because of the politics and a lot of the good players. And I've been with you, Brian. I would play all the young kids. They've got nothing to lose. And to be fair, as much as he played for Liverpool, he plays for City. When Raheem Sterling played a couple of years ago, I don't know when Uruguay beat us in the World Cup, and it might not have been that one, it might have been before then, but he played in one of the tournaments, so it was Euros or that, and he looked fantastic. He looks a great player. I thought they should build a team around him. As much as he was playing for Liverpool, I thought this is the sort of player that they should build a team and play to his strengths around. Obviously, he fell by the wayside. Then City got him, and he's obviously now rejuvenated himself. Unfortunately, playing for City, obviously because of our situation. But these players there, Lallana, obviously he's 28, 29 years old. He's had a good little run for England. I won't play him every game. Daniel Sturridge, great striker when he's fit, but he's never fit. And now he's
made of glass.
Yeah, exactly. He's on the slide now, so it's like they've had good players, but all at different times. And I don't think they're going to get anywhere in the World Cup.
I think they'll do well to get out of the group, and then anything else.
What they'll probably do is the usual England stuff, where they'll get beaten the first game, draw the second, and then they've got to win in the last game, and they might scrape it through and get 4 points if that.
Against Belgium, I mean, that's the one thing you don't want to do. You need your 2 wins before you play Belgium, really.
Exactly, but you know how it goes, Andrew. They always flatter to deceive, don't they? They'll draw some stupid game because of some decision, and then it'll be an uproar in all the papers, won't it? Saying like it was a travesty, and then showing all these England fans, Brian, crying because they've had the face painted with the Union Jack. Watching the one game of the year. It's just like you can just see it now. You could write the headlines now. What's going to happen? A nation mourns because we got beat by Albania in the 93rd minute. And
it's all up after Iceland. Really.
Hey, at least you're there.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, you know what I wanted to say, and I must admit this, and it's a joke that my family have stuck with for years. Obviously, your football knowledge is second to none, as from the US and that, and obviously,
I was going to say it's good for an American, isn't it?
Very, very good, very, very good. You know what I mean? I commend you. But I remember World Cup '94. I was in Spain. I watched all the qualifying, and I remember just before the World Cup, Eurosport in the UK interviewed Charlie Sheen, right? And it's on YouTube. I remember watching it live, and this is obviously before the the hookers and all that shit. And well, he might have been pre.
I don't know.
He might have been in the middle. He probably was.
He might have been balls deep in a couple hookers. You never know.
And you could tell. Well, listen to his answer. So they said to him, they went, Charlie, who do you think's going to win the World Cup? And he went, I think Liverpool are going to win all the way. And he was just like, what the fuck? And we always talk about it, my family. We'll always say it like, what the hell was he going on about? And it's just one of them stupid things. But your knowledge, mate.
It's gotten a lot better over here because every game is pretty much on TV now. From Spain, like we have BN Sports. Fox, NBC Sports has the Premier League. Fox Sports has the Bundesliga.
Isn't it? Like NBC will have like a choice of all of the 3 o'clock games. They'll have it like Gillette Soccer Saturday, and then you can basically go and choose which 3 o'clock game you want to watch.
Yeah, you can. Like I said, most of like BN Sports has Spain, Italy, and France. You have Fox Sports has Germany. NBC has the Premier League. So, I mean, it's gotten very, very popular here. It's the most played sport from a youth perspective. More youth are playing soccer, football, whatever you want to call it, than actually American football. And so, and plus with everything coming out about concussions and all that stuff, a lot of parents don't want their kids playing American football. So you're going to see as the MLS continues to slowly expand. Beckham has a team now coming to Miami. Just so many younger kids are now that, because when I was younger, I had to go to bars, pubs, whatever you guys call those fucking places. I had to go there and sit in a corner, and they told the bartenders he's not 21, he can't drink, he's here to watch the games. And that's where I would go to watch the games. I'd pay $20 in the city, and I'd go to these bars and watch the games. And that's how I was able to watch, because it wasn't on TV. The only thing we had when I was a kid on TV was the World Cup, but not even every match. You didn't have every match. So but now, you know, once the turn of the century, after Euro 2004, I believe the 2006 World Cup was the first World Cup, from what I remember, that played, no, maybe it was 2002, that played every game. But then once we got Euro 2008, that was ESPN got the rights to that, so we saw all the games. So all the World Cups, all the Euros, all the Copa Americas, now you can see every game. So you can see all the Champions League games, everything's there now. So it's saturated the marketplace. So now so many young kids, it's the knowledge. It's odd not to run into somebody who loves, you know, footy, who has great knowledge of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it's not what it was back in the day, like 10, 15 years ago, when you talk to your average American and they had no fucking clue about anything in Europe in terms of European footy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when I went to Vegas 2012 and 13, which I'm going back this year, Brian, obviously.
Nice. What are you going for Vegas for?
It's my 40th this year.
Oh, yeah? You bringing your wife?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a mistake, bro. You don't bring a significant other to Vegas, man. Come on.
I'm not even answering that, but yeah.
You fucked up.
Well, we've been twice before, and whenever we get a taxi back to the airport, I remember one of the United had just won the league in 2013, and Sir Alex was doing his retirement speech. Because what was the best thing about that trip, sorry, just segueing off, was I came downstairs on the 90th minute as Wigan got a corner against City and scored and won the FA Cup. And I ran off cheering through the MGM Grand, and 2 City fans wanted to kill me. So it was that was the best part of the trip. I loved every single minute of that. They were giving me a right load of stick. But anyway,
Watson.
Fucking ace. Anyway, we got in a taxi. One of the taxi drivers, he just said to me straight away, he goes, "Who do you support?" And I said, like, you know, Manchester United. He said, "Oh, I'm a Tottenham fan." And I said, "All right." I said, "It's quite unusual." He said, "No." He said, "They've lifted the ban. We can actually gamble on soccer now." I don't know if that's across America, in Vegas. Yeah. So he said, "So all of us follow." Yeah, he said, "All of us follow soccer now because we can gamble on it. We could never gamble on it before. So everyone has a team and everything." So his knowledge was really good. So I think obviously that part of the world in Nevada, it's obviously to do with gambling, but his knowledge was very, very good. He knew all about United at the time and stuff, and Fergie retiring. So good.
I think it has gotten better.
No, it's really good. Well, we were going to talk about WWE and all sorts, but I've got to be up at 4 o'clock. So
we'll leave it for another day, mate.
I think we need to leave that because he could be pulling an all-nighter, and if the Prosecco gets any more, I'm going to be got to work on my hands and knees.
I don't need to see that, mate, as well.
No, I don't either. But Brian, thank you so much again.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. You're always welcome to come on with me and Andrew and Steve-O if he ever comes back on. He'll be on soon, hopefully.
Let me know when Alan's popping on.
I will do. I'm going to speak to him because Andrew, you'll definitely have to come on for that. Because obviously me and Brian have got a connection through the forums, and I'm quite interested to hear what he says, not to character assassinate him or vice versa. Just want to see what he has to say. But you're quite impartial, Andrew, as well, because you only read the article and sort of what my impression of what that is and what you've read. So it'd be interesting to get him to come on, if he will come on, and discuss it with us, what he what the idea behind it was. Because I'm kind of quite happy to hold my hands up and say, fair fucks to you what you did. I just don't understand the logic at the moment. But, once he's been on, then we'll see. If he wants to come on, there's an open invite. But if he is on, Brian, if you would, mate, I'd love you to come back on. And obviously Andrew will definitely be on. All right. So if you want to say see you to everyone before I lead us out.
I'll see you guys. Charles, if you're watching, suck a dick. And by the way, I just want to say bye to Pez Hunter. It was nice meeting you, buddy.
No worries.
Chris, thank you for having me on. Charles, fuck you. And I will see you guys next time.
What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I'll just add that my usual segment, Album of the Week, will be coming up with all the new music releases on Friday as well. So I'll try and pick another. It was a cracker last week as well, so I don't know whether it'll be able to live up to expectations. But look out for that at some point tomorrow. Yep. And then obviously check everything out Pixel Hunter-wise. Thank you very much.
I will do. What I'll do is I'll put all the links on again for the Footy United guys. Get on their podcast, even the back catalogues. It's fantastic. I've listened for a good couple of years now, on and off. I'll post Brian's links on. If you've got any questions with Pro Evo, give Brian a shout. And obviously Andrew, Pixel Hunter, Pez Hunter. And then I'll put the links on for Andrew's YouTube channel because he's going to be streaming Monster Hunter and various other things. And
I'm going to try and struggle through it, considering I've just had 3 quarters of a bottle of red, not 3 bottles of red wine. Jesus Christ, then I wouldn't even be able to pick up my controller. 3 quarters of a bottle of red, and I'm going to try and play Monster Hunter, which probably isn't the best idea, but look out for us.
I will do. Get on YouTube. So it's Pixel Hunter, and he's on YouTube.
Yep.
And then all I'm going to say is Chris Smalling, Phil Jones, you're a pair of fucking cocks. You shouldn't be playing for my football team. This has been episode 27 of the Contextual podcast. See ya.
See ya.